there's a piece of furniture that moved between KGB offices for 23 years. Standard issue, oak, 2 doors, 3 shelves, serial number stamped on the back panel. Nothing remarkable about its construction. Nothing unusual about its appearance, except for one detail that appears in multiple incident reports filed between 1961 and 1984. When the doors are closed, you can hear breathing inside. Not wind, not ventilation, breathing, slow, steady, human rhythm. But the cabinet is always empty. The cabinet was manufactured in 1961 at a state furniture factory in Minsk, part of a batch of 40 identical units, distributed to various government offices across the Soviet Union. This particular cabinet, designated Unit-23, was delivered to a KGB regional office in Sverdlovsk on March 8, 1961. Installed in room 14. 3rd floor. Used for storing classified documents. Standard procedure. Nothing unusual for the first 6 months. The first report came in September 1961, filed by a clerk named Anatoly Grigoriev. He described hearing sounds from inside the cabinet during late-night shifts.
At approximately 23:40, while retrieving files, I heard what sounded like respiration. Slow, regular, coming from within the cabinet. I opened both doors. Cabinet was empty. Sound ceased immediately. Assumed auditory fatigue. Continued work.
Grigoriev mentioned it to colleagues the next day. They dismissed it. Overwork, stress, long hours. Common in KGB offices. But 2 weeks later, another clerk reported the same thing. Different shift, same cabinet, same sound, breathing. This time the clerk, a woman named Lyudmila Sorokina, noted the pattern.
The sound occurs only when both cabinet doors are closed. Opening either door stops it immediately. When doors are reopened after several minutes, sound resumes within 30 to 40 seconds.
By November 1961, 4 different staff members had reported the phenomenon. The office supervisor, Major Viktor Karpov, ordered an inspection. The cabinet was examined thoroughly, removed from the wall, checked for hidden compartments, acoustic anomalies, structural defects. Nothing found. The cabinet was standard. Solid oak, no cavities, no spaces where sound could originate. The inspection report concluded, no mechanical explanation identified. Cabinet functions normally. Recommend continued use with monitoring. But the reports continued. Staff began avoiding room 14, especially at night. The breathing was most noticeable in silence. During the day, office noise masked it. But after hours when the building was quiet, the sound became clear, unmistakable. One officer described it in a memo dated December 1961. The breathing is not constant. It varies, sometimes shallow, sometimes deep, as if whatever is inside is sleeping or waiting. In January 1962, Major Karpov decided to test it himself. He stayed late, alone in the room 14. Closed both cabinet doors, sat at his desk, listened. For 15 minutes, nothing. Then he heard it. Soft at first, then clearer. Breathing, in and out, regular rhythm. Approximately 14 breaths per minute. Normal human rate. He approached the cabinet. The sound didn't change, didn't stop. He placed his hand on the door, felt vibration, subtle, rhythmic, synchronized with the breathing. Karpov opened the doors. The sound stopped. The cabinet was empty, files on shelves, nothing else. He closed the doors, waited. After 40 seconds, the breathing resumed. He opened the doors again, stopped again. He repeated this 5 times. Same result. The breathing only occurred when the doors were closed, and it always resumed after the same interval. 40 seconds. Karpov's report from January 14, 1962, was more detailed than previous accounts. He noted,
"The phenomenon is consistent and repeatable. The breathing exhibits characteristics of a living organism. Variable depth, occasional pauses, subtle irregularities that suggest biological function rather than mechanical repetition. However, inspection confirms no living organism is present. Recommend removal of cabinet and replacement with standard unit."
The recommendation was approved. The cabinet was removed from room 14 on January 20th, 1962. Taken to a storage facility. A new cabinet was installed. Identical model, same manufacturer. No issues reported. The breathing cabinet, Unit-23, sat in storage for 3 months. During that time, warehouse staff reported hearing sounds from the storage area, particularly at night. Guards investigated multiple times, found nothing. But the sounds persisted. Breathing, coming from somewhere in the rows of stored furniture. In April 1962, the cabinet was transferred. Not destroyed, not discarded, transferred to a KGB office in Leningrad. Room 9, 2nd floor, Records Division. No explanation for the transfer. No mention of the previous reports. Just standard reassignment paperwork. The Leningrad office received it, installed it, used it for storing personnel files. The first incident in Leningrad occurred within 2 weeks. A records officer named Boris Volkov reported hearing sounds from the cabinet during evening work. Same description. Breathing. Steady. Human. He filed a report on April 28, 1962. His supervisor dismissed it, told him not to spread rumors. Volkov didn't mention it again, but he avoided the cabinet, requested his files be moved to a different storage unit. Other staff noticed. Over the next 6 months, 3 more officers reported the breathing. Always the same cabinet. Always the same conditions. Doors closed. Quiet environment. The sound was undeniable. But management refused to acknowledge it. No official investigation. No inspection. Just warnings to staff not to discuss it. Not to file formal complaints. The cabinet remained in use. In November 1962, something changed. An officer named Dmitry Markov was working late, alone in room 9. He heard the breathing, as usual, but this time it was different, faster, agitated. He described it in an unofficial note found later among his personal papers.
"The breathing was rapid, panicked, as if whatever was inside was distressed. I approached the cabinet, considered opening it, but I heard something else. Not breathing. A voice, faint, muffled, coming from inside. I couldn't make out words, just tone, urgent, pleading."
Markov opened the cabinet. The sound stopped. He checked inside, empty, just files. He closed the doors, waited. The breathing resumed. Normal rhythm. Calm. As if nothing had happened. Markov left the office. Didn't return to room 9 for a week. When he did, he requested the cabinet be removed. His request was denied. No reason given. By mid-1963, The Leningrad office had developed informal protocols. Don't work alone in room 9 after dark. Don't stand near the cabinet for extended periods. Don't listen to the breathing. Ignore it. Pretend it's not there. Most staff complied, but some couldn't. The breathing became intrusive, persistent. One officer reported difficulty concentrating, said the rhythm of the breathing disrupted his thoughts, matched his own heartbeat, made him feel synchronized with whatever was inside. In August 1963, the cabinet was transferred again, this time to Moscow. Lubyanka, KGB headquarters. Floor 4, Archive section. The transfer order cited spatial reorganization. No mention of acoustic anomalies. The cabinet arrived in Moscow on August 19, 1963. Installed in a secure archive room. Used for storing highly classified materials. Access restricted to senior personnel only. The breathing continued, but at Lubyanka, it was noticed by different people. People with authority, people who could demand answers. The first report came from a colonel named Georgy Petrov. He was retrieving documents one evening, heard the breathing, opened the cabinet, found nothing. Assumed ventilation noise. But the next day, he heard it again, and he recognized something. The breathing pattern wasn't random. It had rhythm, structure. He was a cryptographer, trained to identify patterns, and he heard one. Petrov began documenting. He recorded the breathing, used a portable tape recorder, captured 15 minutes, took the tape to the Signals Analysis Division, asked them to analyze it, look for patterns, modulation, information content. The analysts were skeptical, but they ran the analysis. Found something. The breathing wasn't uniform, it varied, subtly. The intervals between breaths changed, lengthened, shortened, in patterns. The analysts couldn't decode it, but they confirmed it wasn't random. It had structure, intentionality.
The acoustic phenomenon exhibits non-random variation consistent with encoded communication. The breathing pattern may represent a form of data transmission. Purpose unknown. Source unknown. Recommend further investigation.
Petrov's report from September 1963 stated this conclusion. His report was forwarded up the chain, reviewed by multiple departments: Intelligence Analysis, Signals Division, Technical Security. Each department added notes, observations, concerns, but no one wanted to take responsibility for investigating further. The phenomenon was too strange, too inexplicable. Better to ignore it, bury it, pretend it didn't exist. But Petrov couldn't let it go. He continued monitoring the cabinet. Unofficially, during off hours. He brought more sophisticated equipment, oscilloscopes, frequency analyzers. He recorded the breathing under different conditions, different times of day, different atmospheric pressures. He found correlations. The breathing changed with barometric pressure, became deeper during storms, shallower during clear weather, as if responding to environmental conditions, as if whatever was inside was alive, affected by the world outside. He also noticed something else. The breathing synchronized with human presence. When he stood close to the cabinet, the rhythm matched his own breathing. When he stepped back, it returned to its baseline pattern. When multiple people were in the room, the breathing became irregular, conflicted, as if trying to match multiple rhythms simultaneously. Petrov noted, the phenomenon appears responsive to biological presence. It adapts, mimics. I believe the cabinet is not generating the breathing. It is reflecting it, responding to the breathing of those nearby. But the mechanism is unknown, and the purpose is unclear. His final unofficial report, written in October 1963 but never submitted, contained a disturbing observation. He wrote, "Last night I stayed in the archive room for 3 hours, alone, listening. The breathing was steady, matching my own rhythm. I held my breath for as long as I could, 60 seconds. The breathing inside the cabinet stopped. Complete silence. When I exhaled, it resumed. I repeated this 4 times. Same result. The cabinet breathes when I breathe. It stops when I stop. This is not a recording. This is not a mechanical artifact. This is something else. Something aware. Something watching." Petrov's notes were found after his death in 1971. Heart failure. He was 43. His widow donated his personal papers to the State Archive. Among them were the notes on the cabinet. Sealed. Classified upon discovery. Never published. Never investigated. Just filed away, another mystery buried in bureaucracy. In 1964, a junior officer named Alexei Morozov was assigned to the archive section. He worked night shifts. Alone. Quiet. He heard the breathing on his first night. Didn't report it. Assumed it was known, accepted. A quirk of the building. Maybe ventilation, maybe pipes. But by his 3rd week, he'd grown accustomed to it. Not just background noise, something more. A presence. He started talking to it. Quietly, under his breath. Saying goodnight when he left. Good morning when he arrived. Felt foolish, but also comforted. Working alone in the archives was isolating. The breathing made it feel less empty. But one night in March 1964, the pattern changed. Morozov was filing documents. The breathing was steady, normal. Then it stopped mid-cycle, mid-breath. Complete silence. 30 seconds. Morozov froze. Listened. Nothing. Then it resumed, but faster, irregular, panicked, as if whatever was inside had been startled, frightened. Morozov noted the time. 2:17. The next night, same thing. Same time. Breathing stopped, then resumed differently. He began tracking it, kept a log, hidden in his desk, personal record, not official. Over 3 months, Morozov identified a pattern. The breathing altered at specific times. 2:17, 11:34, 18:52. Always the same times. Always the same sequence. Stop. Silence. Resume with different rhythm. He noticed something else. The times corresponded to shift changes in the building. 2:17 was when the night patrol ended. 11:34 was lunch break. 18:52 was evening shift change. As if the cabinet was aware of human activity, responding to the rhythm of the building itself. Morozov also noticed personal patterns. When he was stressed, the breathing became agitated. When he was calm, it was steady. When he was sick, it sounded labored, as if the cabinet was mirroring his state, reflecting his condition back to him. He tested this, deliberately changed his breathing, faster, slower, held his breath. Each time the cabinet adjusted, matched him, synchronized. It wasn't just responding to presence, it was responding to him specifically. In June 1964, Morozov was cleaning the archive room. Routine maintenance. He moved the cabinet slightly, needed to dust behind it. Noticed something, serial number on the back panel, Unit-23. He'd seen inventory lists, knew the numbering system. This was from a 1961 batch, manufactured in Minsk. He checked records, found the cabinet's history. Sverdlovsk first, then Leningrad, then Moscow. Multiple transfers, multiple reports, all describing the same phenomenon. All ignored, all suppressed. Morozov read the reports carefully. Grigoriev, Sorokina, Karpov, Volkov, Markov, Petrov. Everyone heard it, everyone documented it. Nothing was done. The cabinet was just moved. Office to office, city to city. As if the solution was to relocate the problem, not solve it. Morozov understood then. This wasn't being investigated. It was being contained, hidden. Moved whenever it attracted too much attention. Kept in service, but kept quiet. He added his findings to his personal log. Noted, the cabinet has been reported since 1961. Multiple offices, multiple personnel. Pattern consistent. Breathing only when doors closed. Variations at specific times. Responsive to human presence. No mechanical cause identified. Question: why has this not been investigated properly? Why is it being moved instead of examined? What is the KGB afraid of finding? In September 1964, Morozov submitted a formal request. Asked permission to conduct a controlled study. Document the phenomenon scientifically. Bring in acoustic specialists. Analyze the cabinet thoroughly. His request was reviewed, then denied. No explanation. Morozov was told to focus on his assigned duties. Stop inquiring about the cabinet. 2 weeks later, he was transferred. Different building, different department. The cabinet remained at Lubyanka. Over the next decade, the cabinet stayed in the archive room. Staff rotated. Some heard the breathing, some didn't. Those who did learned not to mention it, not to ask questions, not to investigate. It became part of the building, part of the routine, an accepted mystery, unexplained but tolerated. In 1975, the archive room was renovated. New shelving, new lighting, new security measures. The work was scheduled for July. Everything was to be moved out, temporarily relocated, then returned once construction finished. The cabinet was moved on July 8th, placed in a storage corridor on the 5th floor, away from the archive, away from personnel, just furniture, waiting. During the renovation, workers reported hearing sounds from the storage corridor, particularly during breaks, during quiet moments, breathing. They assumed someone was resting in the corridor, taking unauthorized breaks, sleeping on the job. Supervisors checked multiple times. Found no one, just furniture, stacked, covered, waiting to be returned. But the sounds persisted. Breathing. Slow. Steady. Coming from somewhere among the covered shapes. One worker, a carpenter named Ivan Petrov, investigated on his own. He was curious. Methodical. He walked the corridor during the lunch break. Listened. Tried to locate the source. He narrowed it down. One particular area, near the back wall, he removed dust covers, checked furniture pieces one by one, found the cabinet, Unit-23. He opened the doors. The breathing stopped. He looked inside. Empty shelves. Dust. Nothing else. He closed the doors. Waited. The breathing resumed 40 seconds later, as always. Petrov was intrigued, not frightened. He'd worked in government buildings for 15 years. Heard strange things before. Old buildings made noise, pipes, ventilation, settling foundations. But this was different. Too regular, too biological. He brought a stethoscope the next day, borrowed from the building's medical office, placed it against the cabinet door. Listened. The breathing was clearer, amplified. He could hear nuances, depth, texture, moisture. It sounded wet, like real lungs, real breath. He moved the stethoscope to different points on the cabinet. The sound was consistent everywhere, not localized, not coming from a specific spot, emanating from the entire structure, as if the wood itself was breathing. He noted something else. When he held his breath, the breathing inside changed, became shallower, hesitant. When he exhaled, it deepened, synchronized. He tested this multiple times. Same result. The cabinet was matching him, responding to his biological rhythm. Petrov mentioned this to a colleague, another carpenter. The colleague laughed, said he was imagining things. But Petrov insisted, brought him to the corridor. They listened together. Both heard it. The colleague's expression changed. From skepticism to concern, he said,
"We should report this."
Petrov agreed. But when they tried, their supervisor dismissed it, told them to focus on work, stop wasting time. The renovation was behind schedule. No time for distractions. The cabinet remained in the corridor for 6 weeks. Workers avoided that section, took breaks elsewhere. No one wanted to be near it. Some reported feeling watched when walking past. Others reported discomfort, pressure in the chest, difficulty breathing. One worker claimed he felt his own breath synchronizing with the cabinet's rhythm involuntarily. He said,
"I'd walk past, and suddenly I couldn't control my breathing. It matched the sound. My lungs moved on their own. I had to leave the corridor to stop it."
When the renovation finished in August, the cabinet was returned to the archive room. But something had changed. The breathing was different, louder, more pronounced, as if the cabinet had been disturbed, as if whatever was inside had been awakened by the extended isolation. The 6 weeks alone in the corridor had altered it, made it more active, more insistent. Staff noticed immediately. The sound was harder to ignore now, harder to dismiss as imagination or background noise. It was present, obvious, demanding attention. One archivist, a woman named Svetlana Kuznetsova, described it in a private letter to a friend.
It sounds like someone trying to get out, not calm breathing anymore, desperate, urgent, like someone trapped, suffocating. I hear it every day. I dream about it at night. I keep thinking I should open the cabinet, let whatever is inside out. But I'm afraid. What if there really is something in there? What if opening it makes it worse?
In December 1975, a maintenance technician was alone in the archive room. Late night, past midnight. He was checking heating vents. The building was quiet, empty. He heard the breathing, louder than he'd ever heard it. Then he heard something else. Scratching. From inside the cabinet. Faint, but distinct. Rhythmic. Deliberate. He approached. Listened closely. The scratching continued. Not random, patterned. As if something was marking time, counting, measuring. He placed his hand on the door, felt vibration. Not just from breathing, from movement. As if something inside was moving, trying to push out. The scratching intensified, faster, more urgent. He heard something else, a sound like fingers on wood, dragging, scraping. He pulled his hand back. The sounds continued, building, intensifying. He considered opening the doors, ending it, seeing what was inside. But fear stopped him. What if the breathing stopped because whatever was inside got out? What if the cabinet was containing something, keeping something trapped? He left the room, locked the door behind him, reported it the next day, was told to forget it, not mention it again. Threatened with reassignment if he continued asking questions. He complied, but he requested a different maintenance route. Didn't want to work in that section anymore. Didn't want to be alone with the cabinet again. In 1978, the cabinet was transferred again, out of Lubyanka, to a regional office in Novosibirsk. The transfer order cited equipment redistribution. No other explanation. The cabinet arrived in Novosibirsk in February 1978. Installed in a records office. 3rd floor. The breathing continued. Staff reported it. Management ignored it. The pattern repeated. By the early 1980s, the cabinet had developed a reputation. KGB personnel across multiple offices knew about it. Informally, through word of mouth. Stories shared in private. The breathing cabinet, Unit-23, haunted, cursed. Explanations varied. Some said it was a recording device. Hidden microphone, playing back captured sounds. Others said it was structural. Acoustic phenomenon. Resonance from nearby machinery. A few believed something else. Something impossible. That the cabinet contained something. Not physically, but in some other way. Something trapped. Something aware. In 1984, the cabinet was transferred one final time to a storage facility outside Moscow. Decommissioned, retired from active use. Placed in a warehouse with other obsolete furniture. The facility was climate-controlled, secure, rarely accessed. The cabinet sat there, doors closed, among hundreds of identical units. But guards reported hearing sounds from that section of the warehouse, particularly at night. Breathing. They investigated. Found nothing. Checked multiple times. Nothing. But the sounds continued. In 1991, after the Soviet Union collapsed, the facility was privatized. The contents were cataloged, sorted. Most items were sold, auctioned, scrapped. Records from that period show Unit-23 was among the items processed. But there's no record of sale, no record of destruction. Just a notation. Unit removed. Destination unspecified. The cabinet's current location is unknown. It may have been destroyed. It may have been sold to a private buyer. It may be sitting in another storage facility, forgotten, abandoned. But stories persist. Reports surface occasionally. Online forums, paranormal communities. People claiming to own furniture that breathes. Describing the same phenomenon, same pattern. Doors closed, breathing starts. 40 seconds later. Always the same rhythm. One account from 2003 describes a man in St. Petersburg who bought an old oak cabinet at an estate sale. 2 doors, 3 shelves, solid construction, well maintained. The seller said it came from government liquidation. Soviet-era office furniture, decades old. The price was reasonable. The man needed storage. He bought it, brought it home, installed it in his study, used it for books, documents, personal papers. Within a week, he heard it. Late evening. He was working at his desk. The room was quiet. Then he noticed the sound, breathing, faint, rhythmic. He looked around, checked the windows, the radiator, thought maybe it was air pressure, temperature differential. But the sound persisted. He tracked it, found the source, the cabinet, doors closed, breathing coming from inside. He opened the doors. The sound stopped. He checked inside. Books, papers, nothing unusual, nothing that could produce sound. He closed the doors, went back to work. After a minute, the breathing resumed. He timed it. 40 seconds from closing the doors to sound beginning. Exact, consistent. He tested it multiple times. Same result, same interval, same rhythm. He checked the serial number on the back panel. Unit-23. He contacted the seller, asked about the cabinet's history, where it came from, who owned it. The seller knew little, just that it came from a government liquidation sale, part of a larger lot, office furniture from the Soviet period. No specific provenance, no documentation. The man thanked him, hung up, sat with the information. Government furniture, Soviet era, breathing. He searched online, forums, historical databases, found references, stories, similar cabinets, similar sounds, all from the same period, same manufacturer, same phenomenon. The man documented everything, set up recording equipment, captured the breathing, multiple sessions, different times of day, different conditions. He posted about it online, paranormal forums, historical research groups, described the phenomenon, shared recordings, asked if anyone else had experienced similar things. The responses came quickly. Dozens of them. People describing furniture that breathed. Cabinets, wardrobes, armoires, all oak, all old, all Soviet era. All exhibiting the same pattern. Doors closed. Breathing starts. 40 seconds later. Some responders shared theories. Acoustic anomalies. Resonance chambers built into the wood. Deliberate design. Surveillance equipment. Hidden microphones. Recording devices. Playback mechanisms. But none of the theories fit. The cabinets had been examined, opened, dismantled. No hidden compartments, no electronic components, no mechanical explanations. Just wood, shelves, doors, and breathing. The man tried everything. Opened the cabinet while it was breathing. Tried catching the moment, the transition. But it always stopped. Always empty. He tried sealing the doors, preventing them from opening. Used tape, clamps, locks. The breathing continued, unaffected, as if the doors being closed was symbolic, not mechanical. The breathing existed independent of physical access. He tried removing the back panel, exposing the interior completely, every shelf visible, every corner accessible. The breathing continued. as if the sound wasn't coming from the physical cabinet, as if it was coming from somewhere else, somewhere the cabinet was connected to. He conducted experiments, systematic, scientific. He measured the breathing rate, 14 breaths per minute, normal human rate. He measured variations, found patterns. The breathing deepened during storms, shallowed during clear weather, changed with barometric pressure, temperature, humidity, as if responding to environmental conditions, as if whatever was inside was affected by the outside world. He also noticed personal correlations. When he was stressed, the breathing became agitated. When he was calm, it steadied. When he was sick, it sounded labored, congested, wet, as if the cabinet was mirroring his state, reflecting his condition. He tested this deliberately, changed his own breathing, faster, slower, held his breath. Each time, the cabinet adjusted, matched him, synchronized. Not immediately, but gradually, over 30 seconds, as if learning, adapting. In 2005, the man reported a change. The breathing had become irregular, labored, strained, as if whatever was inside was struggling, deteriorating.
It sounds like someone suffocating, trying to breathe but can't, getting weaker. Each breath is shallower, more difficult. I feel like I should help, but I don't know how. I don't know what's in there, or if anything actually is. But it sounds like something is dying, and I can't stop it.
Other forum members responded. Some suggested opening the doors and leaving them open, breaking the pattern, ending the cycle. Others suggested destroying the cabinet, burning it, dismantling it, releasing whatever was inside. But the man was hesitant, afraid. What if opening the doors permanently made it worse? What if destruction didn't end it but spread it? What if the cabinet was containing something, and removing the container would unleash it? His final post was in December 2005. Brief, final. He wrote, "The breathing stopped last night. Completely. I've had the cabinet for 3 years. It's always breathed. Every night, every day. Constant, predictable. But last night, nothing. Total silence. I opened the doors, expected to find something, some evidence, some explanation, some residue, nothing. Just empty shelves, dust, books. But it feels different now. Wrong. Not relieved, not peaceful. Empty, like something left or died. I don't know which. I don't know what to do with the cabinet now. I'm afraid to keep it, but I'm afraid to get rid of it. What if it starts again somewhere else? What if I'm responsible for moving it, continuing the cycle?" He didn't post again. His account went inactive. The cabinet's fate is unknown. But the pattern continues. Reports come in, sporadically, from different cities, different countries. People describing furniture that breathes. Cabinets, wardrobes, armoires, always oak, always old, always the same pattern. Doors closed. Breathing starts. Variations at specific times. No source identified, no explanation found. And sometimes, in the reports, people mention the serial number. Different numbers, different units, but all from the same batch. Manufactured 1961. Minsk. 40 units produced. 40 cabinets. Distributed across the Soviet Union. Used in government offices. KGB facilities, military installations. All retired eventually, all sold, scattered, lost to time. The question remains, what was in those cabinets? What is in them? Are they recording something, transmitting something, or is something actually inside? Something that breathes, something that waits, something that maybe, after 60 years, is still trying to get out. The files on Unit-23 were sealed in 1984. Classified. Access restricted. Most were destroyed during the Soviet collapse. A few fragments survived. Transferred to Russian Federal Archives. Buried in bureaucracy, forgotten. But the reports are consistent. The phenomenon is real. Documented across 2 decades. Multiple witnesses, multiple locations. Something about those cabinets was different. Something was wrong. And if the accounts are true, if Unit-23 still exists, somewhere in someone's home, then the breathing continues. Slow, steady, patient. Waiting for the doors to stay closed long enough, for someone to listen long enough, for someone to finally understand what it's trying to say. Because maybe it's not just breathing. Maybe it's counting, maybe it's waiting. And maybe, after all these years, it's almost done. This concludes the declassified files on Cabinet Watch.